Okay. Today is uh, today is February 26th, 2025, and you're watching Going Viral. Tonight we'll be discussing most likely international stuff in terms of Ukraine and Russia and Israel and Hamas, maybe Venezuela or Iceland, Greenland, maybe Panama, and maybe some issues with the presidency of the United States. Oh, and don't forget the Gulf of America and anything else that might be tweaking in someone's mind, causing distress and confusion. We'll try to resolve it. Okay, so hang in there, and when we get the guests coming in, we'll start. And right now, I'm going to pause this. Oops, I didn't mean to pause this, so I start over again. Hello. Hi. Today is the 26th of February, 2025, and you're watching Going Viral. And tonight we'll be discussing certain international factors of Israel and Hamas and the Palestinians and Jordan and Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and possibly Panama Canal and Greenland and any other issues that are on people's minds. And of course, we'll be talking about the deactivation or the firing of a large number of federal employees being done by the new president, and see if people got a burr under their hoof on that. See if we can resolve the issue or talk about it. We'll see what happens. So hang in there, and we'll be back as soon as some people start to show up. Oh, that's interesting. So even though I'm not recording it, it is going on to the YouTube channel. Very interesting. Okay, we'll let it run. What do I want to say? Well, while I'm waiting for people to show up, let me just check that all my hair is staying flat and I don't have any dandruff on my shirt. But let me also say, just for recording's sake, let me record this too. Just on these issues, I have an interesting phenomena happening here. There have been reports on the regular radio, what they call the legacy media, that people will be dying in Ethiopia because the US government has stopped delivering support funds to buy medicine to quell the epidemic of HIV that exists in Ethiopia. And it's a question of how many people might die, mostly young people, supposedly, innocent children who inherited the disease from their mother. So whatever the number you want to use, whether it's 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, a certain amount of people will be distressed and possibly die because the United States government is not going to be supplying HIV medicine or other financing that will save them and keep them alive. So that's interesting to me because it's that the United States of America is responsible for the conditions, the demonstrated issues going on in Ethiopia. And apparently, I don't know that there's any legislation or discussion as to what is a proper protocol for making a decision whether or not to assist. Okay. For instance, I haven't done the research yet, but I probably will tonight. how many calamities or devastating factors are going on in various countries around the world. And some of them may be happening, and some of them are due to acts of God or acts of nature, whatever you want to identify them as, such as hurricanes, floods, mudslides, earthquakes, volcano eruptions, famines, drought, pests, locusts, other things that might, create a lack of food, like the way supposedly we've been killing a lot of chickens in the U.S. because of the fear of a bird flu that is spreading from chickens to pigs and so forth. Another calamity to worry about in the U.S. and I guess in other countries too. So some bad news is happening everywhere, all the time. So if you categorize that and start to and take a look and say, let's first identify all the calamities, let's call them that, or yeah, just calamities, and that are happening all around the globe, and identify them as to what country they're in, how many people are affected, how difficult it is to remedy. Is there a remedy, or is it something that will be recurrent and can, or worse than recurrent, continuous? Something like lack of nutrition. That's not just recurrent. It doesn't happen once every 3 days. It happens continuing. Well, here's some people coming in, so I'm going to stop my rant and we'll get on with the show. So maybe I'll continue this later. I'm going to pause here just to have a point of pausing. It is now, I don't know how many minutes I've been to the show, but it's 5:46 p.m. That doesn't really help me much. Okay. There we go. Here's Alex. Good evening, Alex. Oh my, you're all freshened up. Look at this. That's, when people say you clean up very well, you got a haircut, looking sharp. Are you going out on a date or applying for a job? What's going on? You're going to a funeral, right? So you had to get dappered up. What's the occasion of your appearance? Oh, I have to. By the way, I've set a thing up that Jim did the other night. Let me see if I can unmute you. Ask to mute. I'm looking to see where I have a key to unmute you. And I don't see that. That's funny. Let's see if I click that. That doesn't do it. So I may have to go in and I am the host.
The host is not allowing people to unmute.
There we go. The host is not allowed to unmute.
Not allowing, others to unmute or something.
Yeah, that's what I set at a leak, but I'm going to go check that because that's something Jim wanted to do, and we did that at our last meeting about the guy talking about Iran and the Middle East.
Oh,
So I see. No, I've turned that switch off, so it should allow me to unmute people. Well, I'll try it again, and if necessary, I'll turn that on so you can unmute yourself, which you just did.
yeah.
So my attempt to be a dictator didn't work. Okay. So what else? So tell me just personally, what's going on? Where are you going? What's up?
Personally, I know, going got a haircut, as you saw, just because it gotten pretty long. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Once in a while to get the bugs out.
In 6 months or whatever.
That's just once every 6 months, right? If we went to where do you go more often, to the barber or the dentist?
Probably more often to the barber.
Yeah. If we went to the dentist as well, we went to the barber, we'd probably be better with our teeth. That's an interesting concept. I never thought of that. So I have a few things that we could look at. What about you?
Yeah, yeah.
So what I was going to, let me
I
see
mean,
if
we
this,
have, Europe no longer, basically destroying their own democracy in Romania. But
we are or they are.
they arrested the guy who's probably going to win the election to block.
Where?
Because again, he's too pro-Russian in their opinion. In the
Wait a
opinion,
second. Which guy? Which country?
Georgescu, the presidential, the right-wing presidential candidate in Romania.
Romania?
They literally arrest, and then like now, they arrested him, then on these ridiculous charges that campaign finance, whatever. I mean, they've had similar stuff, and then they just dropped. This is just what they did this because they released him, but they imposed conditions. Oh, he can't do social media. So this is an attempt to basically repress him and his party because they could win the election outright. Again, it's one of those systems where if you get, more than 50% in the first round, you just, they have multiple candidates, but if you win one party or, one candidate wins, and this is for president, wins more than, 50.1%, then, it's over. That party, wins the election and gets, the parliament and so on. So
well, let's take a look here. There's that's you're considering
and
that
they
part
need,
of
without Romania, he's seen as pro-Russian, and he does not support the war in Ukraine. And you can see again, basically the war in Ukraine is getting shut down by Trump anyway. Because
what's the guy's name?
Without Romania, they can't supply.
What's that candidate's name?
If Romania doesn't let NATO send equipment and supplies through them, it's a huge problem. Because you can just see the line. The only other well, of course, Hungary already is against all of this, so they're not going to send it through there. Slovakia is the guy there is not pro Ukraine war either. So though you could send it through Poland, but that's
send to
Ukraine, send stuff to Ukraine. You can see again how much without Romania, because especially again, what they're doing right now is
wait a minute.
If you blow up Greece, you see in eastern Greece there's a port called Alexandroupolis that's basically near the Turkish border with and basically the US is shipping supplies and and equipment there, and then from there it goes to Bulgaria up and through Romania to Ukraine. That's how they're supplying a lot of stuff. It's through the Mediterranean. But without Romania, you can see obviously that doesn't work anymore.
You don't think they could get there through the Black Sea?
They'll get any ship with military is going to get sunk by the Russians. There'll be any merchant ship is going to be a sitting duck. The reason they don't sink them all is because again, they're letting the civilian. But
you think they can take it?
And if you're going to be like sending, you can't send. Also, again, the Turkey, through all the they can close the Bosporus to any military traffic. So I mean, Turkey's not going to let NATO.
Wait a sec. Slow down. Isn't Poland part of the NATO?
Yeah, I mean, but again, you can see that that narrows down the amount. Because again, look at how much you can see again if you count the number of miles or kilometers, the Polish border is less than Romania. Again, like
Belarus is friendly.
Belarus is pro-Russian. They're
right. Okay, Ukraine. Poland is part of NATO.
That's Lukashenko. That's they're very pro. They're pro Putin. I mean, they're not letting anything. So everything would have to come through Poland, and that would then you're basically stacking up trains and trucks and of course, it makes it much easier for the Russians to target things if they know, oh, it's only coming through Poland. So without Romania, they're in, the whole, with or whatever Trump wants to do, the whole Ukraine project is basically in severe trouble. So they have to do this. Oh, sorry, Ken. Let me get my dinner.
Okay, go ahead. All right, everybody out there, just hang on. Alex went to get his dinner. And look at this, we're getting a rush course here on the geopolitics of the war between Ukraine and Russia, and in terms of supplying them. Let me get back to that map. That was interesting. Let me see if I can find that again. Oh, where is it? It's probably here somewhere. No, not there. Yeah, here. So let me go to the map. Here's the map. So I guess you can see this.
Yeah.
And here's what we're looking at. As Alex is saying, we can get to Greece and then go through Bulgaria and Romania and then Moldova, or
Well, you don't have to go through. You can go around Moldova. You can go through Moldova too.
Well, then it's a very small border between Romania and Ukraine.
Yeah.
But you think
no,
it's better than coming through Poland? Why can't
if
they
you
just
zoom
come
in,
through
you'll see that
Poland?
there are several railroads running from Romania.
Nothing from Poland?
There are some, but it's not as many, I don't think.
Okay, so what's the guy's name who's running?
The guy that was arrested, Georgescu.
Oh, wait, slow it down. Say it again.
Georgescu.
George
CSU.
Esco.
Georgescu.
I don't know. Let me see. Ukrainian. Oops, no, not Ukrainian. He's
I got a
Romanian.
clip.
Oh, you have a clip about it. Okay. Okay, so we'll play that in a minute, but I just wanted to, we'll start with that. So there's a map. I got that up. You see the map, right? Do you see the map? Take a look. You got the map? You see the map, right?
No,
No?
I can see it. Yeah,
You do not see it.
I can.
Oh, you can. Okay. So, all right. So I got this, all of this. There we go. All right. So, yeah, I understand. This might interfere with whatever kind of romance Trump's trying to do with Putin.
Remember, Hungary is Viktor Orban.
That's right wing.
Also not pro-Ukraine war. So you're not going to ship stuff through there. Slovakia is led by Robert Fico, who is left-wing populist, but also does not support the Ukraine war, because you can't use that.
Okay, wait a minute. Which of these countries are in NATO?
No, they all. Romania's in, Hungary, but again, the leaders are not pro-Ukraine war.
Romania and Hungary are in NATO, and Slovakia?
Well,
Slovakia?
mm-hmm.
And Austria and Moldavia? Moldova? What about Moldova?
Moldova, no.
Okay. And Poland is, but Belarus is not. Lithuania and Latvia just joined.
And Estonia are, yes. But, you're not going to ship stuff through the Baltic. That's too close to Russia.
See these,
that might get, some stuff.
Okay, I'll tell you what. You want me to run it or you want to run it? I run it. You don't have to eat. You can concentrate on eating.
Yeah, I'll send you the clip in the chat.
Well, just tell me the link. Is it on YouTube?
No, I'll just put it in now.
And where in a what do you call it? Chat. Okay. So let me get that in the chat. I don't know when I'm going to grow up and do better with this. Let's see. So there's a chat. Did you give that to me? Is that this? Okay, so let me run that and see what happens. I got to cut it and cut it and put it up here and let's see what happens. Here we go. So we got something. I'll turn the sound on and I'll skip the ad and I'll stop here and hope that the sound works. Okay. So let me come back to my thing and close this. I don't like chat. Okay, share. And I guess it's this one. No, it's this one. Okay, so why don't we see him? We see him, but I don't hear him. I don't know why the sound is not working. You don't hear anything, right? Okay, let me come back here and make sure the sound is connected right. Audio, headphones. No, that shouldn't be affected. So when I run it, I don't hear the sound. Let me try once more. Let's try it with, that's that. Let's try it with the advanced portion of screen. And there we go. Participants can now see my screen, but we're not hearing my, I'm not hearing it. Here's this going and I don't hear the sound. Let's see. Picture in picture, enhance. So I see the captions. You know, the speaking Romanian might not have that much, but still. I don't know why I'm not hearing a sound. Okay, I'm gonna switch my sound on. Okay, stop this. I want to change my audio to speakers. Say something, Alex. Talk to me. Just go make a sound, or let me try sharing it again and see if I can hear it.
Close associates.
I'm still not
After
hearing
news
it.
broke of
Oh,
the
I know
raids,
why. Let me see.
Georgescu
Maybe it's
claimed the
this.
searches were aimed at blocking his new presidential candidacy. Others affected by the nationwide police action are under investigation.
Okay, this is a very short clip you sent. Okay, I'm going to go back to my headphones. Check my audio devices. Okay, so audio microphone is working. Okay, so I'm going to go and change everything here from here. Go to Bluetooth. Turn off the Bluetooth. Bluetooth is off. And the speakers are on. Oh, and I have to go here and change it here on Zoom. Audio speakers, go to speakers. Now talk. Can you say something? Just say something. Speak. Can you hear me? You don't hear me, huh?
Can your whatever you have set up again, it doesn't let me unmute myself.
Now I hear you. So now I'm going to try this once more time and see if I can.
And it was working.
Yeah, let me see if I can. But the thing is, if I can hear the video.
Well, I was hearing it. Should be coming through.
Good morning, everybody.
Oh, now I hear.
Good morning. Friday. Happy Friday.
Can I ask you a question, Caroline, very quickly?
Sure.
We're now hearing from constituents in some traditionally
But
red
this is the
districts.
president. This isn't the right one.
Yeah, it's the presidential spokesperson. Wow.
Okay, so wait a minute. I got it right here. Let me just do it again.
Most people don't realize that this is one of the healthiest superfood you can eat. This isn't your typical supermarket brand.
Romanian prosecutors have opened criminal proceedings against ultranationalist politician 2024 presidential election candidate Călin Georgescu. The 6 counts include anti-constitutional acts and misreporting his finances, authorities said on Wednesday. The charges also revolve around his support for sympathizers of the Iron Guard, a pre-World War II fascist and anti-Semitic movement and political party, which is illegal under Romanian law. Euronews Romania sources say prosecutors questioned Georgescu as part of an investigation looking at zero expenses he declared for last year's electoral campaign. Local media report prosecutors have begun searching the premises of his close associates. After news broke of the raids, Georgescu claimed the searches were aimed at blocking his new presidential candidacy. Others affected by the nationwide police action are under investigation for several crimes, including illegal weapons caches and instigating fascism.
Okay. So
Funny how
I'm going to leave that and I'm going to ask you questions. Is this a typical?
Yes.
Is this the establishment which is left trying to stop a guy?
There's not left and right, but it's the
Huh?
it's establishment left and right in Romania.
They're trying to stop this guy. He's
And
extreme.
they're mostly centrist.
Oh,
It's,
he's
pro EU and pro NATO, because this guy isn't. He's one of these right wing populists who's been quite successful. And again, like I was saying again, from the polling, he could get half the country, half the votes in the first round, which means he would win straight off, and take over the government. And this is just liberal authoritarianism. It's like, well, we can't. There's a world where you say like, oh, we can't let the far right or the far left ever come to power because they'll tear up the government. But that means then you don't believe in elections anymore. You don't believe in democracy. You can elect anybody you want except those guys.
So where do you think?
Because that's not how democracy is supposed to work. Democracy is supposed to be the majority of the voters elect who they want. Nationally, regionally, whatever, by state, by your mayor. You don't say, oh, well, I mean, in theory here again, you're not supposed to say, oh, in theory here, you should be able to elect a communist mayor of Los Angeles or wherever. It's probably not going to happen, but again, there have been, socialist and communist mayors of, smaller towns. So yeah, so this is just shows that again, the whole EU project, they don't believe in democracy anymore. But this has been coming for a long time again, they've done these kind of anti-democratic things, particularly to the right, because, but that doesn't stop the rise of the right, because they're not addressing the economic problems that, give rise. And you would have to do things like, keep return to buying cheap Russian gas that would, let you have industry that's cost effective, whether this is why, well, we can look at the German elections, which just happened, where again, the far right, AFD got like 22% of the vote and became the second largest party. And again, the center right party there, actually, let me get the map. Sorry, I got let me just bring up the voting chart so you can see. But you can see again, because actually there again, the left-wing party also did very well. So basically the not the far, the strong left and the right did well. Let's see what I can find here. Okay, yeah, actually got a map. Actually, let me get the vote breakdown first. Wait, okay, I got it.
You got it?
No, this is an old. Dang it.
Do you think that's parallel to the election we just had here with Trump winning?
Yeah. Wait, no, that's last. Yes, I just got to get the right chart, basically. Oh, I know how to do. I just have to narrow it down to the past week. It'll bring it up. Why isn't it? Wait, is this it? No. Wait, I think the Times had it. I think you might go through the Times so you can find it. But again, you can see there, like, yeah, the Christian Democrats, who are the center right party. Oh. Again. Yeah, okay, you got knocked off or something. Okay. All right. I found the chart count at the times.
Yeah, you can bring it up. I have to sign in so it doesn't kick out on me. Well, go ahead, bring up the chart if you found it. There it is.
So this is, let's see, percentage and number of votes. Here's a number of seats. So we have the biggest, 29, almost 28.5%. The CD is Christian Democrats, which again is center left, basically the Republicans equivalent. Yeah, the AFD is like neo-Nazi. See again, they're the number 2. So they have almost 21%. And they're gonna, again, if they don't stop the war with Ukraine, again, get back the Russian gas. Because, I mean, like Volkswagen is closing plants in Germany because they can't afford to, keep their plants going with the very expensive, American LNG. You have to ship it across the ocean. There's it requires special ships, when it gets to the port, you have to put in like a special containers. It has to be converted to like regular natural gas for use in like your stove or but more to like run a power plant. And it's just not cost effective to do energy intensive industry with US LNG. And so that's why, again, Germany is Germany, which was, again, the industrial center of all of Europe, is deindustrializing because they don't have cheap Russian gas anymore. And again, there's no way around that. If they don't get that back, the economy is going to continue to, do badly. And again, the AFD is just going to do better in the next election. Because again, if the Christian Democrats, if they don't end the war in Ukraine and get back the Russian gas, their economy is going to suck. And again, the SPD was in power again. You can see how they created. Well, actually, you can see here. So here's from the last election. So you can see the SPD. They were the number 1 party. They formed the government. So you can see they dropped 9% to, I know this is their worst showing in like decades. So they dropped again. Basically, again, the far right AFD again said, crypto Nazis, basically what they are, went up to almost 21%. Again, they'll just probably the next election they'll be the number 1 party. It's a question of if they can, they'll be in Hitler taking over the country territory. Because again, if you can't fix the economic problems, then they've thrown the socialist bumps out. That's the Socialist Party Deutschland. Next, they'll say Christian Democrats, let's throw them out. And again, unless there's the only hope for Germany may be again here, these guys. Sorry, not the Greens. The Greens are pretty right wing too, actually. The Die Linke, which is actually again the German left. What they're not showing, you can see here again. This BSW again. The rule in German elections is again you need to get basically you need 5%, like 5.0%. That gets you seats in parliament. So this is the Sarah Wagenknecht coalition, which is also, it's even more left than Die Linke, which literally translates as the left part. Die Linke means the left. So again, so they're far left. So you add them to basically add 5% to them. You can see here they basically just got underneath. Otherwise, they would have had like 20 seats in the parliament. Because again, as I said, if you get 50, they're going to get a few seats anyway because they'll have won some, regional elections. They'll get some from that. But again, if they just hit 5%, again, they would be in parliament with like 20 seats or so. Again, it's proportional, and then you get like a bonus if you're number 1, essentially. Yeah. So again, we add the 5% from these guys to the about 9% here. So here we have 21% far right and about 15% far left. Think of that. So basically the extremes politically are, again, unless, and that's of course what happens when you have economic polarization. The extremes suddenly look good. Okay, here, this is Ken, this is good. Because this is one of those maps they like to do showing again, which parts of the country shifted in one direction or the other. So you can see again, the bigger arrows mean it shifted more.
Share it.
Yeah. You're seeing this, right?
I'm seeing your face.
So this is the Christian Democrats.
I saw that.
You can see also again where they're concentrated. Christian Democrats, again, they're,
I'm not seeing this. Are you sharing it?
Yeah, I'm sharing it.
Okay. I don't see it. Hit the share button.
I did. It's saying here. Let me go back in. Maybe because you joined later. Here, let me try it again. Are you seeing this now?
Now I see it.
Okay, now maybe. Okay, so yeah, I can see here. So you can see again the set Christian Democrats. Again, they're they existed before the unification of East and West Germany. So makes sense again that they're more concentrated in West Germany. You can see again, remember the arrow, a bigger arrow means it shifted more in their direction. But you can see this is interesting again, because the traditional area where the AfD had strong support again is East Germany. Because again, they're less well off because of the the legacy of socialism and plus they've been less developed so you can see, but again you can see again still again I mean this looks really bad again. Basically almost every part of the country shifted towards the far right. Can you see this, Mike, too? All right.
And Mike's walking.
Yeah. Okay. And you can see
every section of the country
the former ruling party, the SPD, the German Socialist Party. You can see they went down pretty much everywhere. Over here on the upper right corner. So they you can see they pretty much collapsed everywhere because they're obviously.
Wait a second. Is this Romania or Germany?
This is Germany.
Okay, Germany, right.
So
same thing you think is happening in Romania?
I mean, I don't know the regional breakdown of Romania to say anything. But oh yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, I mean, Romania, the far right is looking like it's going to win the election. So they're even worse in that sense. But here you can see again. So here, this is the far Free Democrats. They're basically the libertarians of Germany, and you can see they also and you can see the overall vote here. See their overall vote. They went from 11%. Basically, again, they dropped below the 5% threshold that lets them have seats in parliament. So again, they'll probably get a small number of seats because again, for regional races that they win. But basically the libertarians just collapsed totally. Again, also the center left. Also, you can see here the Greens went down 3%. So and that probably also has to do with energy policy again, because of course the Greens, they promote renewables, and obviously, a lot of people, especially business, they blame again, not just the Greens, but Angela Merkel for basically getting rid of the nuclear power plants, which were a significant part of German energy production. After Fukushima happened in Japan, they basically decided to shut all the nuclear power plants down. And so the Greens get part of that blame because again, they pushed that for, decades. I mean, they're an environmental party, so makes sense. And again, like I said, probably the next election, again, assuming there's not some, great shift and they bring back the Russian gas, these guys are going to crater too. And probably, I mean, it's going to be great, probably again, the Die Linke will go up, AfD, but AfD probably will benefit the most. So they're probably going to be the number one party in the next election, barring, I mean, it's always possible. Again, they could, German politicians have talked about, basically declaring the AfD, as being basically real Nazis and banning them. So they could always try and do that. But again, obviously, then that's another step in the direction of destroying European democracy and just saying, well, you can only go so this far. And even if the far right or the far left win elections, we're not going to let them. So, basically, we don't care about democracy anymore.
Who's the party?
It's just what basically the establishment, what the elites want. Well, they'll block, any real populist, left or right, from, taking over, because that's too dangerous. Oh yeah,
I used to call it neoliberalism, but then people got
yeah.
They said, "Don't call me a neoliberal."
Well,
hated
was this at Pacifica?
Yeah. They wanted to be, we're hardcore,
Right.
revolutionaries.
So here are the different options for how.
I think that it's like Bill Clinton, neoliberal.
Okay, so these are this is interesting too. Again, these these are the options for, again, the CDU to form a coalition. Again, they don't have enough because, again, half the parliament is 316 seats. That's what you need for a majority to form a government.
Can you do me a favor and zoom in on that? You don't think so?
I think, let me just.
There you go. That's bigger.
Okay. Yeah, so you can see again, they can join with the socialists and form a coalition, just the two of them. But you can see again, if they join with the Greens, who only have 85 seats, that's still not enough. So you would need the CDU, the socialists, and the Greens together, or again, just the two center parties, center left and center right, socialist and CDU. Again, the other one again was go with just a right wing coalition again, the crypto Nazi AfD and the CDU.
Why do you call them crypto Nazis? They're going for bitcoins and stuff.
Right. And here again, but this is interesting as well. Again, this shows again the continuing strength of the AfD in East Germany. When makes sense. Again, they have they've been under authoritarian government. As I said, they're the less developed part of the country, so they're more hurt by the economic problems. So you can see again the AfD, the far right stronghold, is basically still East Germany.
I thought it was AFD.
Pockets.
Hey, what's AFD? What's AFD?
That's again the crypto Nazis. Alternative für Deutschland, alternative for Germany, is what it translates as. So here again, you get here, and again, obviously, this is concerning that a lot of younger Germans are turning to the far right, even in like Berlin. So you get 16%. Obviously, less than what the share that they got, nationwide, but still, pretty bad. You also see again the definite connection with the economy. So again, areas that have higher unemployment tended to vote for the AfD. In obviously, and poorer areas, here per capita income, disposable income. So, I mean, again, it shows again the clear connection between the growth of the far right and economic policies. But again, neither.
Okay, let's ask Mike. Mike's here. Let's see if Mike.
Yeah.
Mike, I got a question for you. Are you interested in having a vacation in Germany? Go there. It's going to be, it could be they restore marching, the big.
Well, you can go there for the anniversary of the end of World War. You can go for VE Day, right?
Yeah, they might have a,
Oh no, I'm sure they're gonna. No, I'm sure they're gonna have them. Yeah.
Okay,
What
do you want to know from me?
Do you want to go to Germany for a vacation?
What?
You want to go? I got two questions for you. What do you think about going to an all paid vacation in Germany, in Berlin? with the right wing movements there. That's number one. And number two is, could you tell me what you think of Alex's haircut? I think it's remarkable. He looks great.
Well, first of all, I have to say, I should warn you that I can only stay on for a little while. I'm just waiting till the trains start running again so I can get back home, which I wasn't going to do in time to be on this meeting. But I don't really, I'm sorry, Alex, if you don't mind, but I really don't care about Alex's haircut. But I will say that you want to know what all expenses. If I would take an all expenses paid vacation in Berlin, sure. What happened in Germany, it was not good, but not catastrophic. Not which, not like in my opinion, it was here. They do not have power. They just have possibly more influence, but certainly they've shown a trend, which is that people are moving toward beginning to embrace fascism again. We all know where that leads. So as far as Germany goes, Germany is still safe for the most part, but they're going to have something to grapple with. I'll tell you one thing: it sure as hell didn't help to have mental idiots and moral imbeciles like Elon Musk and JD Vance telling Germany that they should, forget about the past. Don't worry about it. Just move on. Germany was until this point, for the most part, still is actually very good at remembering the sins of their fathers. And now they want to forget that and just move on towards fascism. But the whole world is moving in that direction. Maybe it has to do with narcissism. Maybe it has to do with COVID. Maybe it has to do with values out the window. Maybe it has to do with the environment. But whatever it is, we're in a very dangerous situation. Very dangerous.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay.
So, but anyway, I wouldn't. The thing is that people also have to start looking at the. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, but you got to talk.
Yeah, well, no, because something's happening with my phone. People have got to start looking at the big picture. Stop attributing it to the Israelis or the Palestinians, to the Russians or the Ukrainians. We're going to have to start looking at what this means on its highest level, because it's affecting it. It's happening all over the world.
Okay. Okay. So this is an interesting question which came up in some dialogue I was having here. Like there was a big press in the media, at least on the West Coast, I think it was NPR and PBS and stuff, that because of Trump, Musk, whatever, cutting the funding or blocking it, of giving aid to Ethiopia, which needs all kinds of anti-HIV medicine. Otherwise, people are going to start getting the symptoms. And once they get the symptoms, it's been determined by CDC or somebody, when you have HIV symptoms, you are contaminating. You can pass HIV to people. If you don't have the symptoms, then you can have sex with anybody. It won't contaminate them.
I know about that, but
well, but basically that's what they're saying. It's safe. If you don't have the symptoms, you're okay. Go for it. But so that the shocking thing about it is, 10, 20, 10 or 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 people will die because we stopped sending them free HIV medicine. And that's in, what did I say? Ethiopia, okay? And if they don't die from HIV, then they're going to die from starvation because they always have a drought there and they're always starving. So we have to send them food. So the issue is this: how many calamities? I'm going to have to do some research on this. How many calamities like this occur all around the planet that are constantly going on? There's due to epidemics, but it's also due to human behavior, like guerrillas or revolutions, civil wars or occupations. But also you have natural phenomena like hurricanes and earthquakes and floods and tsunamis. Maybe an asteroid hits the planet. There's all calamities all over the world. And, when are we supposed to drain resources, this country, or let's say, even if you had an alliance with Western Europe, is our obligation is to save to the best of our ability to rescue everybody in the world? And if it's limited, what principles should be used to decide what body, what entity should evaluate where it's most important or effective to apply aid? Because right now, it's who screams the loudest, or I don't know who's suffering the most. I don't know what the parameters are for making a decision about who to send aid to and who to recover. And especially of concern is that most of these situations are recurrent phenomena, like you get a flat tire, you're going to get another flat tire later, but it's not necessary. And some of them are continuous, like drought or starvation. So you're not going to ever remedy that unless you remedy it at the cause. So most of the things that I don't know how much of the aid or the resources are trying to
one thing is
cure
certain,
the situation. I think mostly they're just trying to mediate.
thanks to climate change, certain things we know, like drought, are going to get worse. So obviously, at some point, you're going to have to increase. But also, again, one thing is,
Well, Alex,
the U.S. is by no means at like a record level of foreign aid. In fact, again, I think we're by whatever percentage we send less than we did during the Cold War, for example.
Well, who's taken our place? Who stepped up and said,
No, we're still number one. We just don't,
well, who else is
part of the budget? The U.S. government.
No, besides the U.S., who's doing
China obviously is number two.
Who?
Well, guys, can I interrupt for a second? Because again, I have limited time on the call because I have limited time on the talk. Again, the answer to your question goes back to what I was saying. You have to find the things, the root problems, the overall problems that are causing a lot of these things.
Wait, speak up louder, please.
Well,
yeah, we're getting
the overall. What are the umbrella issues that cover a lot of these particular problems? Well, one of them is obviously the environment, the environmental catastrophe that we're actually in, and that is only going to get worse. Okay, so in other words, some of those problems would be solved, or at least easier to solve, if we solve that problem. We're not doing nearly enough. But then you have other issues, which is you talk about diseases, diseases. Well, without cooperation on health issues between that is international, that's worldwide, then we're always going to be one step behind as far as disease goes, because we're not pooling our resources. Nature.
No. You're going too high. How do you decide if there's 10 lifeboats, which one do you rescue?
If there's 10 lifeboats, which one do you rescue?
Yeah, if they're all subject, one is surrounded by crocodiles, the other one's got a hole in the boat,
well, first of all,
pirates are approaching. Which one? How do you decide who to help?
I'm telling you, people are going to have to learn to walk and chew gum at the same time, which is to deal with what I was just saying, and also to deal with these things. Which one do you save? Unfortunately, the way it usually works is you save the person who's in most dire danger.
Okay, so you go for the worst case.
Well, you go for the people who are in the most danger. If there's a disease spreading around that inconveniences people, that doesn't take as much of a priority as a disease that's killing
So the biggest social threat,
It's common
biggest,
sense.
highest number of people that could die, right?
It could be the highest number. It could be how old they are. I mean, children, we usually, in most societies, children have a higher priority. It could be which has the potential to spread into an even greater test. It's something we didn't catch in COVID.
Okay, so what body makes those decisions?
Well, the World Health Organization was one. There are international or other international organizations. There's Doctors Without Borders.
Yeah, I've been participating.
Wait. I'm not giving sound bites here. The problem is the United States is pulling out a lot of most of it, and that is going to be catastrophic to the world in general, but for the United States in particular, because we don't have the information, we don't have the cooperation, and therefore we've only got what we know, and what this government is doing is becoming anti-science. So we won't know anything. We will be like, if I can quote David Mamet, savage shitheads in the wilderness. We're not, I mean, in other words, whatever COVID did, the next one could be far worse. And that's something to be nervous about.
Okay, the nervous doesn't come into it. The question is, who decides?
What do you mean, who decides?
Which one to, well, in other words, there's oppression in Burma.
I mean,
There's starvation.
for foreign aid, it's the Congress who decides, basically.
No, they just
Who
fund
in the United States survive? Wait a second. Are you asking me who in the United States decides where United States aid goes to?
Yeah, who decides if and how much and which one?
In the United States or in the world?
Well, let's just start with the United States.
Okay, well, in the United States, it's usually done, yes, by Congress. The president has some leeway. And yeah, by the agencies, they're now being denuded.
Well, let's take it over. Let's go to a smaller situation. In New York City, who decides to help the drug addicts, the homeless, the refugees, or the, let's say just people with disabilities? Who decides how to split that aid?
State, local, and federal government.
That are set up, not necessarily the government, not necessarily the elected officials, but rather the agencies that are set up. And a lot of them are appointed, a lot of them are just career people, but the agencies that are set up for just that purpose. It is part of and I use this word begrudgingly, but it is part of the bureaucracy or the system that is set up for New York. But it isn't necessarily contingent on who's elected and who isn't, because they're not supposed to put their paws on it. They may be able to budget how much they get. They have certain powers over it, but they don't make the decision. Those are what the agencies are for. That's why we have experts. They get together. It may be the wrong experts. It may be the wrong people. But you try to get the most knowledgeable people, the most capable people, and the people who are the wisest people, at least in that area, to make these kind of judgments. They decide who gets the, who gets the priority. Not elected officials. It's not supposed to work that way.
So is it an operating, do you consider, let's say just for New York City, that it's a well-oiled operating system that's making valid decisions and effective solutions to the problematic, the fringe things in society?
Are you asking me if it's perfect?
No, it's not perfect. I mean, it's best they could. Not bad.
Yeah. They're
Well,
doing it for the most part as best they could. Those agencies, that's their job. They get paid. That's what they trained to do. So is there corruption or anything like that? Yeah, but mostly in these agencies, the health department or something like that. Could there be corruption? Could there be payoff? Yeah, they could. And you have to deal with it, but you can't prevent them from doing their primary mission, which is to watch out for the health of the community that they're in charge of, or that they're the community in which they exist, that particular health department. They're supposed to be watching out for the well-being of people. They're supposed to be, if it's something that deals with science, health department does, they're supposed to be doing the best, most accurate, most well thought out, and the kind of science that we know the most we know, scientific. So,
you have a lot of confidence in science. Okay.
yeah, I do have a lot of confidence in science, a lot more than they do in the morons that don't like it. This world wouldn't exist today.
Don't go radical. Don't go radical. Don't criticize
No, I'm not
people.
going radical. The world would not exist.
Don't
without-
don't have Mike, must have an advanced college education, and you understand everything that Newton said and Einstein said. You're really up there. You got biology and chemistry solved. Fine. But so not everybody has that level of intellect or that opportunity to acquire the information.
That's right.
But that's call them morons.
What? Because the morons I'm talking about are not the ones who simply don't know it. It's the ones who come out against it because they don't. They're against anything they don't know.
Uh-huh.
And there's people like this since the beginning of time, but you don't put them in charge of it.
Uh-huh. And so, it's a large part of the population, right?
Now it is. This population, yeah. America is always, look, Churchill was right.
Apparently Romania and Germany too.
To a certain extent now, to a certain extent, the whole world is like that. Because people don't want to think anymore. They got computers to do it for them. Why should they think? They can sit there and watch.
That's science. Computers is science. That's a product of science.
That's right.
AI is the ultimate phenomenon. It's the
right. But they're going to deny science when they go and play video games on their computer.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a little bit bizarre and contradictory and insane. But you know something? I'll say one thing. Science, or should I say technology, without true science, and technology without humanitarianism, that technology like that can lead to Auschwitz.
Can be what? Technology without humanity is destructive. I think your battery went dead or something.
No, let me see if I can get the volume up a little bit.
Okay,
that's
can you
there's something wrong with your train that you're waiting so long too.
Technology without humanity.
I'm not on the platform. I'm on the street. I'm just waiting for them to clear up the block, so I can go home. Yeah, technology unfettered and unfiltered through any humanitarian concern or through true science. You can come up with something, a technological advancement, which is done through science, but then you say, well, forget the science, we've got the technology. So that technology without true science, without scientific thought, rational thought, and humanitarianism, yeah, just technology alone, let loose, it can be extraordinarily catastrophic. I mean, if we invented the nuclear bomb, if we sat there and said, hey, we got a bomb, let's use it on anybody we don't like and start using it, would we all be here today? Probably not. So you have to have some sort of counterbalance to technology. In other words, what's happening now is technology is evolving faster than humans are evolving in their ability to deal with it. And that's another danger we're having. And maybe that's the cause of or one of the causes of this craziness that's going on throughout most of the world. Not all of it, but most of it. I mean, probably more countries than not. So
Okay, let me interrupt your mic and ask what Alex thinks about New York City in terms of proper allocation of resources and efforts to handle the real problems in a balanced way. You know, not destroying the whole economy of the city by saying, let's put the refugees in most expensive hotels, and let's put get a nurse for everybody who's got an ailment. So how's it going there?
I mean, they do a good job. I think the problem is they're not, we don't tax people enough to properly fund all the services. And if we have so much money in Wall Street that it's, but we're not willing to tax, rich people properly. And my gosh, there'd be a little few percent you wouldn't have taxing Wall Street just, 1 or 2%. You would have enough money. The MTA would be free, among other things. You wouldn't have any problem with, you could do what Mayor Koch did, to actually build public housing that can, alleviate, the biggest problem in New York is, of course, the cost of living and the rent. And, one good way to fix that is, it's government intervention. I got to play some very good cities like Vienna, where literally half the housing is publicly owned. And Berlin, I don't think it's half in Berlin, but Berlin has like 1/3 public housing. And they have, Berlin's a great place to live, from what I've heard, in terms of rent, much cheaper than London or Paris, for example. So, yeah. So
was that just for Viennese people, or could I go over there and get an apartment for $300?
Oh, if you can make a living and can afford it, yeah. I mean, you probably have to be a resident at least, but yeah, if you get a job there and you can, yeah. I mean, there are a lot of people who live like a bohemian lifestyle in Berlin. Still, again, because of the legacy of public housing there.
Well, what about some of these solutions of live in New Jersey, rents are cheaper?
Yeah.
Why do you have to stay in Manhattan?
Cheaper rent is like $3,000 a month, Ken. So it's cheap and cheap. It's not that's not exactly cheap. I mean,
if you go to Pennsylvania,
Mike, for example, I know would be Mike, you would be spending more money if you moved out of your place now and moved to New Jersey, right?
Oh, yes.
Any equivalent.
First of all, anywhere nearby.
Yeah.
Anywhere that takes you less than an
it's
hour.
Still near the city. So it's going to be like $3,000, $4,000. Yeah, in Jersey City. I know, because that's what my brother's paying over there, and he's got.
So you guys are low rents because of rent control, right?
Rent control, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in a different situation, which is changing somewhat. But the rents in New York, the ability to live in New York is
the market rents are absurd. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, which I don't think is too different in LA, Ken. I mean, if you tried to rent, what would you be spending?
I have 4 units and I live in one of them, but one of them is going to be free on April 27th. If you know somebody who wants to move out here. Too bad.
It's going to be free, or it's going to be open.
It'll be available for somebody.
So he's not asking you might move to LA, Mike, for free.
Yeah, I mean, I know.
You guys could stay here. I got lots of room.
I mean, if it were free, I could get.
Yeah, you could stay for a week or 2 or months, and then I kick you out. We had a guy staying here for about 6 months who was fixing the antenna for KPFK.
Really?
Yeah.
Why
Tom,
they need to fix the antenna?
he goes around and fixes antennas for Pacifica radio stations.
Uh-huh.
He's a old world technician, really knows his stuff. There's an
Well,
old
why was he
guy-
there for 6 months? I
well,
mean,
maybe I'm
that long?
exaggerating. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe it was 2 months, 3 months. I don't remember. But
Well,
whatever.
So when they was he around when they blew up was it the KPFT antenna?
No, I don't know. He must
Right
have been
wingers down in
there. He must
Texas.
have been down there when they blew up the tower in Texas. So okay, so it is. It's. I think it's generally speaking. I agree with you, Mike. The ultimate, the highest level of analysis has to be based on a sound philosophy, on an understanding of all of life and everything that's alive, and the fact that there is a thing called mortality, that nobody gets to live forever, and situations this and people like that. There's sociology. There's all kinds of things to consider. Economy, the practicality, the weather, the agriculture. There's lots of things, but you need to have a high level of understanding. Like there's an epidemic going through most of Western well, not so much America actually, but a majority of Western civilization, and an epidemic of declining fertility. Like in Japan and South Korea and Europe too. And it's not that bad in the U.S. And some of that is because we have a robust portion of the population that is from south of the border, and they procreate well. So
you're not talking about a biological epidemic.
it's a biological epidemic.
In other words, it's where people are unable to procreate, or
Oh, well, there you go. No, it's not. There is a decline in the sperm cells, and the fertility of the sperm cells. I don't, check with Joe Rogan or Alex Jones, but
okay.
and then I just saw a thing the other
I'd rather
day.
talk to real
I just
people.
saw a thing the other day. I swear to God, 10% of the American population. This is a Gallup poll. 10% is non-heterosexual. Somewhere on the how does it start? And I forgot. The gay. What is that called?
Spectrum.
I forgot the net. I forgot. Oh my God, I could go to jail for this. I can't remember the letters.
LBG.
But you know something?
Yeah, there you go. LGBTQRSTWXYZ. Somewhere on that.
Don't let your
They're
wife
not.
hear
They're
you
not
say that,
normal.
Ken.
They're
You'll
not
get
retro. So that's got to contribute to the decline in fertility, and so does there's another phenomena. It is a scientific concept that the desirable men in most societies have a certain status. It's in Japan, I was talking to people in China, you have to have an apartment. You have to have a job and an apartment, or nobody's going to go out with you. And that's in China. And Japan has a similar thing. And in the US, women are only, the prize men, they don't have to be good looking. They could be short or tall, but they have to have assertiveness and be, dynamic. They have to be some degree a character, a alpha males. So they got a business, or at least they have 3 dry cleaning stores or something that they own that would provide a future. So that's only about 20% of the males like that. And they're going, and so all the women are going, they want to get a guy like that. So that then leaves the rest of the males, not able to connect well, to have availability. I think that's contributing to it also. The social standards of, woman, you have a career, you can go make the money. You need a man as much as a fish needs a bicycle, and that's jazz.
Ken,
nobody
that
there
has
to
to do
raise
with
the
values.
kids.
That has to do with values. Values obviously change.
It has to do with what?
Values.
Yeah. Which that's right. It's up at a more philosophical concept. What's life about?
However, I want to posit something to you, which is that during the Second World War, I'm going to be off on this. There were about 2 to 2.5 billion people In the 1960s, maybe into the 1970s, there were 4 billion people. Today, there are 8+ billion people in the world. Now, what
Well,
you
it's
have
not
in,
true, not true. There's at the most 6 billion, and there's 2 billion morons. I mean, I just got that from you. You told me that.
okay, all right.
Moron.
So, but
Yeah.
but as long as we say that morons are still people, much to people's
Okay.
much a diminishment of the word people. But no, the idea is you have, let's say, 8 million people in the world, 8 billion. 8 million would be manageable. You got more people. Population is increasing to a degree exponential. Meanwhile, natural resources and habitable land are decreasing.
We do have some people in the program.
So what's that for? What is that a recipe? We want to stop immigration, right? But then there's people, if you stop immigration, you close your borders and say no one can live here. We're keeping it all to ourselves. Meanwhile, nobody else has a place to live, and nobody has, or at least a habitable place to live. Then you have wars, and wars will diminish the population, not the way, excuse me, humanity want it. So we're in a dire situation.
Yeah. Well, we've always been. There's been
But I'm
in the
just saying
past.
that population, that the population not increasing that much is not necessarily a bad thing, as long as it's not decreasing because people are dying or people are being killed or any other nefarious reason. People are choosing
They're not being born.
right. They're and
Except you should know this. If you can look it up, just it's not a uniform thing. The drop in fertility is in the more advanced societies. The majority of the birth rates are coming from Africa and not so much India, Africa and South America. And in fact, it's Nigeria is supposed to bypass India and China by 2050 or something. So that's an unfortunate thing that population is increasing in areas that are undeveloped and beautiful, but undeveloped,
why,
and decreasing in urban area, more advanced societies.
Why does an idiot like, when I say idiot, why does a jerk like Elon Musk have 5 kids?
He has 12. He has 12.
12. Okay.
He can
There you go.
afford
There's somebody who should have never reproduced but did.
Well, he can afford to have as many kids as he wants. He's got $400 billion. So.
He's also, if you're,
he could give each of his kids $5 billion. It wouldn't have much impact on him.
As I hear,
not a billion, 5 billion. Yeah, go buy it. Go buy it.
As I hear, he doesn't give him $5.
That's good.
Allowance.
That's smart.
Yeah. The idea is, and you also have, that's also income disparity. Income. I mean, financial disparity.
Well, when you're going to get up to high levels of philosophy, you really can't even, I don't think it's appropriate to use the word finances, sustainability and stuff like that.
No, I'm just saying that you have the biggest disparity between the very rich and the very poor. Then I won't swear to this, probably than ever has been. In other words,
the greatest disparity?
Yeah.
Worse than the feudalistic ages and worse than
apparently
the pharaohs. Supposedly the
pharaohs.
Yeah, well, the pharaohs, but the disparity between them, which then you had slavery and everything like that, which was a whole other fact. But I'm just saying that as far as people who are earning something.
Well, no, because you didn't have modern banking, so
somebody was a millionaire.
But
there was no such thing as super profits, and
the average person had trouble staying alive in the Middle Ages, just to not die from disease or famine or wars or whatever. trip, getting
Right.
Well, if you
killed
look
by a
at,
horse, so this is a different society.
I mean, if you look at the,
Even the poor, the poorest of the poor have cell phones, and sneakers and tents and so forth. I've seen them. You see them.
in
That's in
in
Western
some,
civilization.
depends, in
Out
some
in the
countries,
desert, it's a different story. If you go to, Ethiopia, you're going to see people living in grass huts still. You know.
Well, the thing is that um, you have this income polarization, um, which is that there comes a point when how much is enough, and this is what I'm saying. When I was, I'm going over. When I was
Oh,
we lost you, Mike.
no, I didn't lose my mic. What about you?
Oh, we lost Mike. I'm not hearing him.
Oh, you're saying that. Mike, he's still there. He's just not talking. He fainted.
Or is, like you said, his phone
We can
died.
start talking about him because he can't hear us. No, I don't know. He's still there. I think he'll, maybe he got on a
Well,
bus. So, I mean, do
the other,
you, I'm sure you have the similar considerations, Alex, that you do want to have an overall principle that can contain and evaluate. If you have to just rely on someone else's opinion, like you do with a CPA or a doctor, tell me, doctor, what should I do? That's not too good. You want to have at least some overview of how to evaluate things. They call that philosophy.
there are, there are always going to be, activists, people who are, interested in refugees or, healthcare, or, well, again, in some cases they're professionals who are in that, that field, but also, again, people who are just interested because, they were a refugee, or, or they're adopt, they know them, or,
Yeah, well, that's the thing with these
they have some interest in that part of, the your
people
New
get
York government. And
people
so,
get wrapped up. There was a wonderful thing on, I think it was on Democracy Now. I'm not sure, but it was this woman who was famous from the Dead Man Walking movie.
oh, Susan Sarandon, yeah.
No, not the actress, the activist, the woman,
The nun,
the woman.
Ellen Prejean, or
Yeah,
whatever.
that's
Yeah,
right. And
who's a nun?
she's trying to get this guy out of jail who's been in
Yeah,
jail for 30 years.
yeah, like
And they
that. Yeah,
just hid the evidence. They hid the evidence that, disqualified the accusations. So, I mean, but she has spent her whole life, and that's the most important thing, is the injustices that exist in the prison system. And there was another guy who's advocating for release of prisoners based on being senior citizens. Why are you keeping them in jail? They're 80 years old. So, and he was it's the same thing. But I've worked with organizations that the most important thing is the election and the integrity of the vote and how you count the vote. And they just dedicated it, and that solves everything. That will solve everything. Well, it doesn't, but that would solve everything. Or somebody else, vegans, PETA, right? People for animals. Look, no matter what happens here, we got it better than the chickens. The chickens are not in good shape.
hold on a second. We're taking stream of consciousness to a level unbeknownst to most of mankind. How did we get to senior citizens in prison and chickens from income disparity and global epidemics and things like that?
Well, no, we're talking about, I thought you would agree, we had your agreement. You need an overall a system, a viewpoint. You have to be standing in a place where you can see the whole valley, whether it's technology or conflicts or sociology or science or chemistry or religion or empathy and humanitarianism. You have to be able to evaluate these things and not get stuck with one thing, like the most important thing is what kind of car you drive, or the most important thing is your family, or the most important thing is your country. You want to have be able to have a broader viewpoint.
Well, let me give you an example, at least systemic, not obviously morally up or whatever. But during the Second World War, the United States Army Air Force was trying to find a choke point, one type of industry that affects all of it in Germany, the bomb in Nazi Germany. So we did, um, um, we chose ball bearings, which were, even though there's a lot of historians who
Don't whisper around. We're not sitting in the car with you. You
but,
gotta always speak loud like you're in an empty hall.
well, I can't speak too loud. I'm on a non-empty street. But the fact is that so we did ball bearings, we did oil. We found things which would affect the entire industrial base of Germany. So if you look at it from a completely different area, and you look at how we're going to solve our problems, if we look at things or systems or situations where which affect the widest amount of, which is the root cause, shall we say, of the widest amount of ills affecting our planet and our species, we're more liable to get a lock on things than if we play whack-a-mole. Now, the idea is, unfortunately, this is how life goes. You got to do both. You got to play whack-a-mole.
Oh, well, the case, yes, in the short run, yes.
But you also have to be able to see the larger picture and dealing systemic problems as well. So
yeah, but I think it's a vanity or hubris to think we can solve everything. You got a vacuum cleaner. Okay, that's been a big jump forward. You got a microwave oven. You got airplanes. We are solving a lot of problems. You used to have a polio the iron lung. There's lots of solutions. Oh, the ballpoint pen. That's quite an invention too. Or the iPhone. There's a lot of things we solve, but you can't have the hubris to think we can solve everything.
And we also we have to be realistic. I mean, there were people running, I know people who said, why don't we just stop making war? And I go, good luck.
Right.
The idea is that you can't be simplistic or simple-minded about it. You can't be, just attached to one cause or one or two causes, something like that. If you're going to operate on that level, it's very complex. It's very difficult. And no, we're probably not going to solve everything. But the idea is we can try to solve as much as possible. You can try to diminish the number of wars that are going on. You can try to diminish the causes of war. I mean, one of the big causes of war, the causes of a lot of evils, is, in my opinion, racism. So if you can tackle racism, but
racism, right? There's a guy, Mike Novick. Did you ever meet Mike Novick?
I know of Michael Novick.
Yeah, that's it. The cause of all the grief in the world is racism. That's what he concludes. I wouldn't even argue with that, but racism is
racism is
ubiquitous all over the planet.
I don't think there's one cause overriding everything. There is one cause. There is one thing that's responsible for all the ills in society: life.
Yeah, okay? The fact that you're alive. Yeah.
Not anybody's alive. If there were no life on planet Earth, then maybe things would be better. No, there's no one overall cause. I said that racism is one of the overriding causes. I'm just using it as an example. If we could tackle racism, but in order to obviously we haven't been able to eliminate it yet. So the fact is that human beings have to evolve. But unfortunately, other things are evolving faster than humans. And that's
we can hope that a more intelligent, competent, comprehensive species lands in their vehicles and corrects
them. They're gonna have problems anyway. And something else I was thinking because I'm just bringing this up because I've got to get off soon. But I was reading something where somebody was posing the idea. They said, we think we are the species to end all species, but he said, just remember the dinosaurs were around tens, basically hundreds of times longer than humans
Yeah.
have been around. And they, you know, and then when they disappeared, I mean, humans haven't even come up to, we're barely a fraction, been around barely a fraction of the time that dinosaurs were around. But, dinosaurs weren't so smart, maybe smarter than we give them credit for, but they weren't so agile, they weren't so anything. So where there's supposedly the the highest point of evolution, we can't keep ourselves going one 50th as long as a dinosaur. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I thought.
I got to pop something in here. I don't care if we talk about it much or not. Mike, have you seen Complete Unknown?
Complete unknown. What is that?
Mike hasn't been to see any movie in a while.
No, I don't go to the movies anymore. They're annoying.
Okay, well, see if you can cop
a.
if you have a friend who belongs to SAG, he'll have DVDs.
I belong to SAG after.
Well, then you
And-
should be getting a copy of the DVDs, or you should be able to.
Well, I'm on honorary withdrawal, which means I have all the advantages, but I don't get the.
Well, it's worth
I don't
seeing.
vote.
I considered it a very well done for very rare. It did not try to be spectacular. It's about Bob Dylan.
Oh, the Bob Dylan film.
Yeah,
Oh,
a complete
yeah,
unknown.
well,
That's a line out of one of the
That's
songs.
good. It's good. It's a good film. I saw it.
It's a good movie because they didn't hobby horse into some spectacular thing. It's just, the general things, about his life and him and Joan Baez and whatever, some other girl he spent time with named Sylvia. But, but he just,
They fictionalized the real.
his odd personality and his brilliancy, it just comes along, but they didn't try to put in dramatic, the way they do with most movies, come to the big thing and then the magic ending and whatever you know about that, the way they design movies now.
movies are designed. Yeah, in other words, I used to say, I still do. Anybody who gets their history from Hollywood is destined to a lifetime of ignorance.
This movie just then ends and goes to the credits. There was no parades or explosions or there was no tragedy. There was no extensive. They didn't even show him getting hooked on drugs or anything. Nothing. No flaw of the man or anything. It's him. He's quirky. That's all. But it was
his real heavy drug habit is later on. But
yeah, but it was really.
He was.
Oh, actually, I'd heard
he was mostly on amphetamines at that point.
But there was a time when he got in a motorcycle accident, I heard.
Yeah, after that, yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't in the movies. That's what I'm saying. That wasn't part of the movie. This was like his creative period with all of the activist songs for the most part. Incredible. But I thought one of the things that was shocking is if you're going to the North Country Fair where the wind blows heavy in the borderline, remember me to one who lives there. That song, that was like the second song they did. I didn't know that was his career. I thought it was later when he did country music. So, the remarkable thing about it, he just, I don't follow this stuff, but he won Best Actor in SAG. But he sang the songs, and he said, I saw him in an interview. He said, they wanted me to record it and then lip sync it, and I said, it's not going to sound the same. So he sang it on a set with people in the audience and whatever he was. So he did a great job. And basically minimalist, didn't do much, not much, acting. It's great movie. You think so too, Alex? You saw it?
Yeah. No, it's good. It's a good film.
Did you follow him at that? Like, are you old enough to remember hearing those?
I was not born. I was not alive in the '60s. No, Ken, I'm not that old, so I don't
See,
remember.
see,
I
Ken and
thought
I
everybody,
were.
I thought everybody was alive in the 60s.
Ken and I were, and therefore we remember Bob Dylan as he was. So for me personally, um, for me personally, it, it's a little more difficult for me to watch somebody else portraying him. But it's doable. I mean, if the guy does an accurate job and
Yeah, that's what I think is that we were talking about that before. Remember? And I said nobody's worried about if they do a bio movie about Charlton Heston. We won't care if they get it right or not. But
yeah,
and we were talking about biopics and the guy who did Mickey Rooney and didn't do it, Edison. So this was a good biopic. It wasn't his whole life. It's just a good biopic. You know.
I personally haven't had a chance to get to the movies. I wanted to go see a revival theater, the film called Returning the Swimmer. Did you see it, Alex?
No, I haven't been to see it yet. No, but it's playing a few times. So if you want to go,
Which one?
the Berg Lancaster film,
Which
Yeah.
one? The leopard?
the swimmer.
The
Huh?
Swimmer. The Swimmer. It's
Oh, the
probably,
swimmer. Oh, he swims through the swimming pools.
yes, yeah. It
Yeah.
was it was an expose of American upper and upper middle class society at that time. The values and things like that. But it was interesting and best work Burt Lancaster because he wasn't a great actor, but he was decent. And in this movie, he was very good actually. So it was a good movie. But great movies. Look, I can watch West Side Story. It's the real version, the original. Um, several hundred times, and still find something new. Great, good films. Well, that's a great film. But great films endure. And they have something that that touches people, touches a nerve, and that gives you a sense of life, where we stand in the
Oh,
universe.
I got torn apart by this movie
Oh, well, there you go.
because there was too much. I was enough into being associated with some people, and stuff. It was so spot on in regards to that, the 60s in New York.
Yeah.
But I had never gone to any of these mass concert. Like there was a big scene they had with a concert in Newport or something like that.
Newport Folk Festival. Yeah, that's
Where was it?
the Newport Folk
The
Festival.
Newport Folk Festival. I
It's still-
never went to those or but the New York atmosphere.
I hope they didn't use CGI to reproduce it.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, they probably used it for the crowd or somewhat. I think.
No, they could have
I
gone.
don't know. I haven't.
They have other crowds that they could have filmed, and other performances like that, like Taylor Swift's always doing that stuff. But having him sing in front of it, he's good. He's good.
And so is Bob Dylan. Those were in the days when we had songwriter poets.
Yeah.
And
he won a Pulitzer Prize for literature.
No, he won the Nobel Prize for Literature.
Nobel Prize for literature.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Nobel.
And we don't see
And then everybody liked Pete Seeger was played by Ed Norton.
Yeah.
They thought that was good. And then they had another guy.
Dakota Fanning is good.
Then they got a guy, Woody Guthrie. I think was that the guy who was in
Yeah.
falling just in a coma.
And the guy they got to play Johnny Cash is pretty. I forget.
Oh yeah. Johnny Cash, right? He was okay. So it was like that. That was a surprise. I didn't know he had much.
Did it cover when he was a kid? Did it start out when he was a kid?
No. They start when he shows up in New York.
That's right.
So they didn't show Bobby Zimmerman.
He made a reference to that.
So
His
if you
girlfriend
get
was saying,
that,
why are you receiving a package as Bobby Zimmerman? What? And that's all they said. That's it. And she said, well, I don't know anything about you. And he says, well, people make up their pasts. They want to
Yeah.
make up the
Well, you
past.
know something? I once, I didn't know them, met somebody who went to, I think, went to Hebrew school with Bob Dylan. And they were saying, yeah, he's just, another kid, quiet, and really, nobody really got to know him.
But the whole thing with him is the songs, the content, not the music, the pathos of the.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad they dealt with the content of the song rather than just, I mean, you
Yeah,
wouldn't
they
want to
did.
see.
Yeah, they'd cut some short and this and that, but they did a reasonable thing. There's a lot. He's got such.
they focus on the whole, him going electric, which is
Like that was towards the end a little bit, yeah. But I mean, he did that great song, Hurricane.
well that's long after the film.
Right, that's long later, so they couldn't do everything.
That's 77. So
Yeah, because he kept doing this. I guess this ended in '60.
oh, he's kept on,
He just
releasing.
kept on going.
Well, something, I'll say one thing, and I haven't seen it, and I'll try to catch it at some point. But with somebody like Bob Dylan, you can't do one of these superficial biopics. You've got to have some depth, and you got to get into the issues that he was dealing with and the poetry. And so you can't have like a standard Hollywood, Marvel universe.
You just got to watch it. I mean, I think it's very authentic because they didn't do like, oh, when he watched these, he was all really empathetic because his family died.
They take they
Holocaust.
they take
his mother suffered or something.
like the story with that the version they do in the film of how he met Robbie Robertson is completely bullshit.
Who's Robbie Robinson?
The whole scene. The leader of the band. Robbie Robertson, the famous guitarist.
Oh, where he went to the club, the Marianne Club.
No. Again, the whole scene where they meet in like an elevator at a CBS Records. That's complete.
Yeah. And then he said, "I'm going to be playing at this
They
bar."
completely changed the timeline. He didn't start working with Dylan until after Newport 64. Oh, that's completely.
Well, maybe.
Well, guys, I have to tell you,
after Newport, so they weren't the band. They weren't his band there. So,
gentlemen, I think I'll be signing off.
you should go, Mike.
Okay.
You're
Well,
gonna get back
why don't we
really
wrap up early? We don't have to go on. I'm going to play something for Mike. I'll play it for. Nah, well, I don't know. I got this. You guys will get mad at me. It's just a little clip of all of the. It's about 10 or 12 people. It says, Donald Trump will not be president, one after the other. He will not be president. That will not happen. Donald Trump, one after the other, after the other, after the other. And from 2015 or 2016.
I know. And people couldn't believe they put 6 million Jews in a country to death. Nobody believes anything.
on Sunday.
But guys, I am going to get off because
Yeah. Goodbye.
Grab your train.
I will see you next week.
Yeah. Okay. Goodbye.
And so are you going to be on Sunday for Jim's to record this latest thing?
What is he doing this Sunday?
Isn't it? He's got that. He's got the Egyptian historian coming on.
An
right?
Egyptian guy. Okay. So anyhow, I just put up the thing I posted the.
Right, I saw.
I'm working on the one with Iran. What did you think about that guy from Iran?
I like again, I've known Professor Abrahamian for 25 years now. So
you knew him when he was an actual person, not just an
he
old
taught
man.
at my grad school. He taught the grad
So
school.
you like him? He's a friend.
I've known him for a very long time.
He seemed to be prejudiced, like he excusing Iran all the time.
He's Iranian. What do you expect?
Well, I understand that, but you're an American. You don't have a problem criticizing
Oh.
America. He's
I
like,
mean,
oh, you have to
not
understand,
not a
Iran,
supporter,
Iran,
not a
Iran.
supporter of the Iranian government. He's, he's a secular Iranian, but he knows that the U.S. has been, screwing with
There you
Iran.
go. It's the U.S. is fucking with Iran.
They've been trying to overthrow the Iranian government, well, for literally its entire existence. I mean,
Yeah.
the current one.
No, no, not
Trying to overthrow the Iranian Revolution since they overthrew the Shah in 1979. So it stands to reason that the Iranians aren't going to,
yeah, but the U.S.
as
government over.
as if
Hey,
it.
no, wait. The U.S.
I mean,
government put
look
the
how
Shah in there.
look how pissed off we got it, when we pretend that the Russians interfered in our, government.
Who? What are you talking about?
Imagine
no.
if somebody did that for real.
Well, what are you talking
Imagine
about?
imagine if, some other country installed a government, which the U.S. has done multiple times in Iran.
Absolutely criminal. It's
They would,
absolutely criminal. So
you
what
would-
about? But he was defending. He was defending Iran sponsoring Hamas and Hezbollah and Hutus.
I say that's just part of statecraft. I mean, it's
That's
understandable.
that's the way it is. It's not a bad
That's
thing.
the same thing as the U.S.
It's not the same as the U.S. The U.S. is
The U.S.
bad.
supports a lot more terror and funds a lot more
That's
terrorists.
right. And when Iran does it, it's not bad. But when
No,
the U.S.
no.
does it, it's bad.
Again, if you can't complain if the U.S. is funding and supporting terrorist groups, you can't complain when other countries do it. I mean, yeah, but it's not. It's you're a hypocrite. I mean,
Well,
again,
yeah. So
US
hypocrisy is not.
the U.S. has
Hypocrisy is
supported
not a
every
everywhere.
horrible death squad in practically in the last 60 years. I mean,
Yeah, fine.
anybody on the right.
So I think you're agreeing with me. He's prejudiced. He's prejudicial. He's nationalistic. He's a nationalistic. I'm Iranian. I'm Iranian. We're better. We're better than everybody else.
You're imputing that, but
no, I know that's. I've worked with Iranians. That's their hardcore belief.
They're very. They're
Their hardcore belief.
they're one of the
elevated.
oldest civilizations.
They are the bedrock of
They go
civilization.
back before there was they go back 2,000 years. Actually, 2,000 years before the United States of America existed. More than
That's
2,000.
right. They were there before the. Were they there before the Greek Empire? Were they there before Greece?
The only ones, again, older than them are like, and not by
Wait a minute.
much.
Wait a minute. I have to ask you a question. Does Greece sponsor any terrorists?
I mean, I don't know. The Greeks have helped. I don't know if they send money. They help the Kurds because in Turkey because of being anti-Turkish for certainly again.
Why?
I mean they hid
the Kurds because
they gave asylum to some of the Kurdish I guess the Kurds probably would call them freedom fighters, but yeah, the Turks certainly call them terrorists. They've given support to the PKK in the past, so yeah.
Okay.
So,
all right.
But
okay,
Ken, I want to.
But anyhow, so you can watch the thing I did with I called it Lindorf, the spy who with no country.
Yeah. I took.
I put that up.
Yeah,
Send it to your friend.
That was
trying to get some viewership.
Ken, I did want to do one last clip.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I think you'll like this. This is that Ben Norton guy that you guys like. He's talking about Argentina and the president, which it's getting really crazy there. Because again, he got involved in this crypto scheme. You hear about this?
No, I'm scared. That's the
He
one.
was, he did one of these meme coin things that he promoted. Give it a sec to. Are you seeing this, Ken?
I'm waiting for it. I don't see it. I don't see it yet.
Dang it! It's
I see it says has started screen sharing. Double click to enter full screen mode, but I don't see it. I see it says you started.
Frozen on, wait, come on.
Do you see it?
Yeah, okay, now we go. Okay, do you see this now?
I
you
think
see-
if you go advanced and you block it in, yeah, there is a guy. Ben,
Okay, and it just needed here. I'll full screen it. Oh, wait. Just give it a sec. It's okay now. It's yes, loading or something. Okay. You're seeing this now, right?
yeah, but it's 53 minutes. We
No,
don't,
we're not going to play the whole thing. I'm going to play like the first 15
okay.
because it'll give you. I mean, you'll find out, for example, that half of Millet is such a bad president that he's plunged half his country into poverty.
Who? Who?
Javier Millet, the current president of
Egypt.
yeah, and again, he also got. We'll see again. He got involved in this crazy crypto, meme coin that basically he defrauded his own citizens and supporters, and now is pretending that he wasn't. Well, you'll see.
Okay, let's run it.
Argentina is governed by a right-wing libertarian.
Increase the volume, please.
He proudly calls himself an anarcho-capitalist. And when he campaigned for president in 2023, he brought a chainsaw to rallies and he pledged to cut government spending down to the bone. He also promised that he was going to dollarize the Argentine economy to get rid of his country's money as the official currency of the country. Since he came to power in December 2023, Milei has been one of the most pro-US leaders on earth, and he has allied himself very closely with Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Not only do they agree politically on most issues, but also Argentina has some of the world's largest lithium reserves. And Elon Musk is the CEO of Tesla, which needs a lot of lithium for the batteries in its electric vehicles. And he's hoping he can get access to large supplies of very cheap lithium in Argentina. Although it has become uncertain if Milei will even be able to finish his presidential term, because in February 2025, he unleashed a massive scandal when he promoted a cryptocurrency scam that led tens of thousands of his own supporters to lose tens of millions of dollars. Milei promoted a meme coin called Libra, and he told people to invest in it. And what happened, it was known as a rug pull. It was a pump and dump scheme where a small handful of investors who had inside knowledge bought up huge sums of the coin in the early hours as there was a massive rally. And then they immediately sold their holdings and the price crashed. It was a classic pump and dump scheme, except this happened in record time. More than 100 lawsuits were filed in Argentina accusing the president of fraud and being part of a pump and dump scheme because a notorious meme coin marketer had actually been collaborating with Milei, and he identified himself as an advisor to Milei, and he admitted that his team bought up the Libra coin immediately when it was launched in a very shady practice known as sniping. This led crypto media outlets to accuse Milei's ally of rigging the game for insiders. And by the way, I should point out that some of the same people were behind the launch of the meme coin Melania that was backed by Donald Trump's wife, Melania Trump. And Trump himself also launched a meme coin. And in all of these cases, we've seen huge pump and dump schemes, skyrockets, and then almost immediately it crashes. The vast majority of investors lose their money, and a small handful of people get extremely rich.
So last Thursday, Republicans started the process of pushing through their billionaire and corporate.
This is an ad, right?
Yeah.
So what this shows is that these right-wing leaders like Javier Milei and Donald Trump are actually exploiting their own supporters. They're promoting pump and dump schemes to their own supporters. And as tragic as this is, it's actually a perfect example of what Milei has been doing to the economy of Argentina. Under his extreme libertarian policies, more than half of the population in Argentina is now living in poverty. He's trying to push through extreme anti-worker policies like increasing the workday from 8 hours to 12 hours. And his extreme policies are leading to the rapid deindustrialization of the Argentine economy, which is basically becoming a kind of resource colony for US corporations. So Argentina will no longer have its own industry. Instead, its economy will be based on simply exporting agricultural products and raw materials like lithium to US corporations who will benefit. And meanwhile, foreign investors have been very happy because the stock market in Argentina has been growing very rapidly, but the real economy is in severe crisis and recession. So there's a deindustrialization and a simultaneous financialization of the economy. It looks like the Argentine economy is doing well because of this big financial bubble, which has been inflated by foreign investors who support Milei. But after Milei started facing crises, including his promotion of this cryptocurrency scam, we've already seen some investors flee out of Argentina. So today I'm going to explain how Argentina is in a very dangerous situation and its economy is in severe crisis. But to understand how we got here, we need to look at the past few years and see how Milei has increasingly turned Argentina into a semi-colony of the United States. Now, back in 2023, Argentina had a center-left government that was trying to join BRICS, and it actually had been invited to join BRICS at the 2023 summit. However, when Milei came to power in December of that year, he rejected the invitation and prevented Argentina from joining BRICS. To justify his decision, Milei attacked China and Russia, condemning them as communists. Apparently, he thinks Russia is still communist. And at an event at a US think tank, Milei said, quote, "Our geopolitical alignment is with the United States and Israel. We are not going to align ourselves with communists," end quote. So in addition to allying as closely as possible with the United States, Milei has also strongly supported Israel as it has carried out crimes against humanity in Gaza, and Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu faces an arrest warrant at the International Criminal Court. But Milei's government in Argentina has been one of the very few countries on earth that has joined with the United States in voting against the vast majority of the international community at the United Nations General Assembly. Argentina has opposed the right of the Palestinian people to have their own country, and Argentina has supported Israel's illegal occupation of Palestinian territory. Milei has also given free rein to the US Central Intelligence Agency to operate in Argentina, and he invited the CIA director to come to Buenos Aires to meet with top government officials, and they signed an agreement in which the CIA will train Argentina's intelligence services on how to combat what they call terror. While Milei calls himself a libertarian, he has also embraced right-wing conservative cultural policies. He wants the state to ban abortion and control women's bodies. And he also has strongly supported Spanish colonialism, praising the history of Spanish colonialism in the Americas, which is as authoritarian as something gets, supporting colonialism. He has also strongly allied Argentina with Ukraine and supported Ukraine in the NATO proxy war against Russia. He even invited Ukraine's leader, Volodymyr Zelensky, to his inauguration in Argentina, and they did a photo shoot in which they had a big hug. Milei has also given the US military control over key parts of Argentina, including he gave the US military an Argentine ammunition factory for weapons, and now this Argentine ammunition factory is creating military equipment for Ukraine and NATO on behalf of the US military. Now, given Argentina's extremely pro-US geopolitical alignment, it's no surprise to see that the Western media has praised Milei, and especially conservative media outlets in the West. The International Monetary Fund, the IMF, which is dominated by the US and based in Washington, has also praised Milei, and the financial press in the West has loved Milei and constantly congratulated him. And it's easy to explain why. Milei has made the rich much, much richer in Argentina and in other countries. If you're a wealthy foreign investor and you invested in Argentina's main stock index, the Merval, you made a lot of money. If you invested in the Argentine stock market in October 2023, when Milei won the election, in the next 14 months, your investment increased by 4 times over. So obviously, a lot of rich people have been very happy with Milei because even though a majority of the population is living in poverty, they have gotten much richer. Although I should say that the stock market peaked in early January 2025, and in January and February, it did start to fall, especially after Milei caused a huge scandal in Argentina by promoting a cryptocurrency pump and dump scheme that led thousands of his own supporters to lose tens of millions of dollars. But what's crazy about that is that even though Milei is facing over 100 lawsuits and legal complaints and a formal investigation for fraud allegations and calls for impeachment, despite that and the relative fall in the stock market, even if investors in the Argentine stock market didn't sell their holdings, they're still way up compared to where they were when Milei took office. So this is why many foreign
classic crust pizza.
The economy under Milei as if it were doing well. Some people are even calling it a miracle. However, the stock market is not the real economy. Yes, the stock market in Argentina has done great, but the real economy has been in severe crisis. Hundreds of thousands of jobs have been destroyed. Social spending has been completely gutted. And the majority of people in Argentina are living in poverty. This is according to official data published by Argentina's Ministry of the Economy, which is overseen by Milei's government. The economic ministry has something called the INDEC, which is the National Institute of Statistics. And in September, they published a report that showed that 52.9%, that is 53% of people in Argentina, are living in poverty. This same report noted that the average cost of a basic basket of goods and services that a household needs to survive, things like food and electricity and water, that costs 709,000 Argentine pesos every month. However, the average household income of a family in Argentina is only 407,000 pesos. So they can't even afford the basic basket that they need. And just the basic basket of food to not starve. The basic food basket in Argentina costs 349,000 Argentine pesos per month, which is a bit lower than the average income. So Argentine families on average are making just enough money to not starve, to feed themselves, but the actual quality of their life has gotten significantly worse. Milei is also trying to push through so-called labor reform that would allow a 12-hour workday without overtime pay. So, of course, the limit now is 8. So if you're a worker and you don't want to work 12 hours without getting paid extra, your boss can fire you. No questions asked. And another part of this so-called labor reform, which is being demanded by Argentine oligarchs, is that they want to be able to pay their workers with tickets. They actually use that term in Spanish, ticket. And that means that part of your pay will actually be in real money, but then the other part of your pay will be in coupons that you can only use at supermarkets or a few specific businesses. These are the policies that Milei is trying to push through. They're as anti-worker as policies get. And of course, these policies benefit the billionaires and millionaires who supported Milei during his presidential campaign and who strongly continue to support him today, not only inside Argentina, but also around the world, especially in Silicon Valley and on Wall Street. And also in Argentina, many of the media outlets are owned by billionaire and millionaire oligarchs who are very right-wing and who also have supported Milei. A poll in June 2024 found that 72% of people in Argentina say that they were worse off under Milei, and that the majority of people in the country had to use their savings in order to meet their everyday needs, to buy things like food. What's strange, though, is that he still had an approval rating of 43%. Now, obviously, that's not very high. That means that the majority of people disapprove of him. But if 43% approve of him, that means that some people who admit that they're worse off economically under him still support him, which shows the power of propaganda in the media, which has convinced people that supposedly he's going to make their lives better. But while their lives are getting worse and they're living in poverty, they still believe what the billionaire-owned media outlets are telling them, that supposedly Milei will make their life better. Another report that was published by the National Institute of Statistics at the Ministry of the Economy. So again, this was published by Milei's government. In a report from December, they looked at the distribution of income, and they found that the richest 10% of people in Argentina are making 24.5% of all of the income. The richest 20% are making roughly 40% of all income. The richest 30% are making more than 50% of all income. And the bottom 50% of people in Argentina are only making 29% of the income. And this is just income. Most rich people are not rich because they have high levels of income. They are rich because they have assets. They make investments. Just looking at income inequality, we see that Argentina is extremely unequal, and a small handful of elites are benefiting from Milei's policies. So what have those policies been? Well, Milei has been aggressively cutting government spending. He reduced the government budget by 30%. He fired 30,000 government employees, and he closed 13 government ministries. Among the ministries he closed were the Ministry of Education, which he closed, the Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovation was closed, the Ministry of Transportation, overseeing public transportation, was closed, the Ministry of Work, Employment, and Social Security was closed, the Ministry of Public Works closed, the Ministry of the Environment was closed, the Ministry of Women was closed, and the Ministry of Tourism and Sports was closed, along with other ministries. Now, what's ironic for a so-called libertarian is that while he's slashing social spending to the bone, Milei has been drastically expanding spending on the police, spy agencies, and the military. So this is real, actually existing libertarianism, which is cutting healthcare and education and infrastructure and massively expanding spending on the repressive apparatus of the state, the police, the cops, the military, the spies. The Secretariat of Intelligence in Argentina had its budget increased by 216% in the first year of Milei. 216% increase, including also a big increase for the military and the police budget. But what are the parts of the government that have seen the largest cuts? The largest cut was for the Secretariat of Science, Technology, and Innovation. As I said, the ministry was closed down, and instead he made it a smaller desk in another ministry. The Secretariat of Science, Technology, and Innovation had its budget cut by 98%. So destroying science and innovation in the country. And as I'll talk about later, what Milei is really doing is he's destroying industry in Argentina, overseeing massive deindustrialization, and he's basically turning Argentina into an agricultural colony of the Western powers, of the US and Europe that previously colonized Argentina. The modern day area of Argentina was originally colonized by the Spanish Empire, and then the British Empire had basically unofficially colonized Argentina. It was known as an unofficial British colony. And what Milei is doing is destroying an entire generation of skilled workers, of technicians, of engineers, scientists, doctors. He's turning the country into a resource colony for US corporations like Tesla, run by billionaire oligarchs like Elon Musk, who want access to Argentina's lithium, and they want access to other minerals, and they want Argentina's agricultural sector to continue sending food around the world. But Argentina, as a technologically advanced society, is being destroyed. This report in the newspaper El País quoted the Argentine network of authorities of institutes of science and technology, which warned that, quote, investment in science and technology is collapsing today in Argentina, reaching its lowest levels since the restoration of democracy in 1983, end quote. Before that, in the 1970s, Argentina was run by a right-wing military dictatorship, which was backed by the United States, basically a US puppet regime. And what we're seeing now is massive brain drain. Anyone with advanced scientific, engineering, medical background in Argentina is looking for a way out. They're going to other countries. So Argentina is losing an entire generation of advanced skilled workers on behalf of the stock market. But the stock market's growing up, so we're supposed to believe that.
So again, it gets worse.
It gets worse. It sounds like,
He mentions that some of the ministries literally they don't have enough money to buy toilet paper. So it's like if you go to the DMV, you go into the bathroom and or and there's just nothing. There's no toilet paper. They can't afford he's so cut the budget for their version of the Department of Education, and again their Ministry of Science, the one infrastructure, and obviously he's basically gutting the public sector. And this is
I would assume that
this is like going this is like this is way worse than what Trump is doing. I mean, maybe Trump will get us there someday, but this is he's just basically collapsing the entire country.
Yeah, that's the same thing Trump's doing.
I mean, he's well, Trump wants to probably do. I mean, and again, that's what the Heritage Society. They're like, oh, we want to shrink government. We want to get rid of. They don't want the government to do Social Security in the national parks. Everything should be privatized. Medicare and Medicaid should disappear. Anything, the government should basically only be like the military and a few other, not even, they want to get rid of the post office, and they are trying to.
Right. Okay. Well, it's a presage, a preview of
Well, again,
happen.
I know you have some ideas.
The only thing that's not coordinated is the market's going down here, not going up.
I mean, this is, this just shows that, libertarianism in the real world is just it's a total disaster. I mean, if, I like Ron Paul on some things, but, I'd never want him to be president because, he would wreck the country the way this guy is doing because he actually believes in all that stuff. Because, you need, in the modern world, you can't, you need all of these things. You need government to do certain things because it does it cheaper than the private business does. I mean, there are certain natural monopolies like electricity or again healthcare that it's just better off. Government can do it as cheaply as possible, keep the cost down for the rest of us.
Uh-huh.
Then if again you let the private business just I mean, well, you can see in so many areas, but but I thought that was interesting. Because again, it just shows how this country can totally. I mean, again, he's doing this in a little over a year. He's basically destroyed his country, and he's hopefully not going to last too much longer. Because
why did he get elected? How come he got
trying
elected?
to scam his own supporters with this crypto thing, and now again he's facing his own justice ministry is investigating him for fraud.
Oh,
and he could get impeached. Of course, he could. Again, this is like again if our president.
Well, if he's in the U.S., he couldn't be prosecuted because he's the president.
Well,
can't be prosecuted for anything.
Yeah, he can't. No, he can't be. Well, unless he somehow commits treason as part of the fraud. Yeah,
it'd have to be. Well, I mean, if he's here, it'd have to
be something extreme. It'd have to be like plotting against the country or something,
or assassinated, one or the other.
Something like that.
Okay, well, I'm glad you made me watch that. I know something I didn't.
Again, it just shows how crazy. Again, so when we all think we have issues with Trump. Again, you less than some of us, but I mean, it shows it could be. We could be in Argentina. It could be a lot worse.
It can always get worse. I know.
Yeah, right? I mean, you're not living. I mean, we don't have half of our population living in poverty, fortunately. I mean, and it's pretty bad, our poverty rate. I think it's something like 15% or something.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's it.
Right. Yeah. So let's call it for the night.
Good night, everybody.
Yes.
And Sunday is the Egypt thing. Maybe I'll do that.
Right. Okay. And you're gonna record that?
Probably. It doesn't matter that much.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that. Again, I've never met the guy, but Jim usually has. Oh, here, okay, I got the numbers. So for last year, well, for 2023, the census has 11% poverty, 37, million out of the
Here in the US,
30 million live in poverty. This is just from Wikipedia from 2023. So again, 11% versus 53%. Obviously, that's a big difference. I mean, so things can always get worse. And that probably is an undercount. Just again, how statistics get manipulated and what they consider the poverty.
right?
And of course,
There's not enough people.
A person in poverty is probably making like what 20,000 a year or something, which is probably great in Argentina to have $20,000 income over there.
Okay.
Their per capita is probably around there. So, all right, Ken. So yeah, so you're. Oh, and why were you saying is your tenants leaving you? Is that what you were saying again before about
No. His wife got a job in Atlanta.
Oh, okay. So
She's a
your
nurse.
tenant is a tenant or just a friend?
They're just tenants, but they're very good people. I'm sad to leave them. Not sad, but it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
They'd be easy, good tenants, but that happens. So, whatever. And that's it.
All right, Kenny.
We're coming to New York after they're settled in, the new tenants, then we'll come to New York.
Okay, yeah.
We're dedicated to going back and forth. But,
how long are you going to come for?
well, we do the same thing. We just go there. And then when we want to go back, we go back because we don't know. We might want to go to Italy or something. You know what I mean? Yeah, take a one-way flight. It don't take two flights. We don't have to go back. I got another friend.
Where have you and
Paris for 4 weeks? Huh?
Where have you and your wife not gone in Europe countries?
What?
Where have your wife not gone?
Oh, where haven't we gone? Nova Scotia. I mean, the North is Norway, Sweden, Finland.
That's not Nova Scotia is Canada. You mean Scandinavia.
Yeah, right. I mean, but whatever it's called, Scandinavia. And we did go to Germany, but we only went to Berlin. We didn't go to Bavaria. We haven't been to Vienna. We haven't been to Moscow. We haven't been to, and I'm not interested in going to Africa. My wife is, but we could go to Morocco.
What about India? I hear.
India, I'm afraid to go to because I consider India it's a continent.
I've heard.
It's a continent. You'd have to spend 5 years to get even an idea what it's like. It's so enormous and so diverse.
Huh. Have you been to Russia ever?
Huh?
Ever been to Russia? I know you've been to China.
No, I have not been to Russia. I don't really care. Wherever you go, you're there. It doesn't matter. But some places are interesting. Italy is like really great. Florence, Venice, Naples. They got a lot of variety. Sicily. You can go anywhere. It's nice. And Greece. We have a friend who, well, you know him. I think Alex Steinberg.
Steinberg? Yeah, I know.
His wife is from Greece. So she has a place in Athens. She's got a place in Athens and she's got a house on an island somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know, the Greeks. I'm not too much. I mean, I really appreciate the Greek philosophy, the development of democracy, and basically whatever you want to call it, Robert's Rules of Order, organization and the concept. That's what I think it's the foundation of Western civilization, is Greece. But it did start, civilization really did start in Iran and Iraq. This version. Yeah. Obviously, there were civilizations before this. They got wiped out by the ice ages. And because they're finding the relics that are 20,000 years old and stuff. But this time around, it was the Greeks.
Yeah.
Kind of
All right.
set
So
up.
I guess I'll
kind of
see
thing.
you. I'll see you on Sunday then.
Okay, yeah, see you on
But not
Sunday.
miss that.
Adios, adios,
All
goodbye.
right. Have a good night, Ken. Thanks.
Good night. And then I'm going to say good night to. Oh, and now I'm going to say good night to everybody else. That's the end of this meeting. And we got to talk a little philosophy. I hope I didn't hog the mic. Oh, well, whatever. See you next time. And Sunday, there's going to be a special meeting about something about Egypt. Find out, I'll record it. You can always watch it later on or try to catch it on Sunday. If you want to see if you're not invited and you happen to be watching this and you're not on a mailing list, send me an email. I think you can do that because, well, I didn't say, well, send it to me at, well, I don't want to give out my email address. I don't know what to tell you about that. Oh, I know what to tell you. Go to GV Combine on YouTube, GV Combine. And that's where you'll see the Egyptian interview and all the other interviews. Everything's up there on the YouTube channel, GV Combine. That's it. Okay, that's the end of the Going Viral session for tonight, the 26th of February, 2025. Remember, what you think is very, very important. Okay, bye-bye.